What's up guys, back with another video. So in the last video I basically left off with getting everything ready to test drive the car. So in this video I'm gonna be test driving this thing, driving it around, hopefully getting a little bit of street tuning and stuff like that. So I will be honest with you guys, right after I ended off the last video we actually did take it out for a drive. Just to make sure everything is working, you know, make sure gears are shifting, make sure the clutch is working, brakes, all that stuff, you know, because I did make a lot of changes to this car and a lot of that stuff was kind of untested. So we did drive it around the block, we didn't crash it, so everything is working. So out of everything so far, there was one leak on the clutch line and that was on the bulkhead fitting down here. So just tighten that up and right now we have no leaks. So yeah, everything is looking good at the moment. And later on in the video I will get back with you guys with more information as far as like how the engine feels, pedal feel, as far as like the brakes and clutch and just all the little details, you know. So I'll get back with you guys later on in the video once we actually are like test driving it and stuff. So stay tuned for that. But when we were driving it, we didn't have the gauges connected and anything like that. We did kind of hear some pinging, so we didn't want to drive it too much. So at this point in time, I can't just like take it out and just drive it whenever. Basically what the goal for today is to just get all the last minute little things wired up. And then from there, me and my dad will take it out and do a little bit of street tuning, you know, just to kind of clean up the base map and have it at a point where it will be okay to just drive it. And that way I could drive it around. I won't be ripping on it or anything like that until I get a dyno tune. But we just want to build the base map just so I can drive it around, break the engine in, and then from there I just want to make sure there's no bugs and fix any bugs if they do come. That way we can have everything completely sorted for when we take this thing to the dyno, because I don't want to get to the dyno and have to be, you know, just chasing down little issues here and there and it just costing us time, you know. So from here I'm just gonna start working on all the little last minute details that I need to get done, mainly just like wiring the gauges and stuff. So I'm gonna get to work. I'll get back with you guys with an update. Oh, I don't have any front corners. Oh, the rear hazards are working. It's feeling a little bit different actually.
Oh, for sure.
A lot different. Yeah, like even just letting off throttle is completely different. Like higher RPM.
All right, guys. So my gas gauge don't work, and we're driving it around, kind of tuning it a little bit, and ran out of gas. So I'm pushing, and a car's coming behind me. Fun stuff. Yep. So first test drive, she left us stranded. But yeah, we're just getting some fuel in it and should be going again. Mom came to the rescue. Alright guys, back over here at my parents' house. So as you guys saw a couple nights ago, we did take this thing for its first test drive. Super stoked about that, but there were a lot of little hiccups here and there, you know, little issues here and there. I mean, mainly did leave us stranded without gas, so the gas gauge is not working on the cluster, so I do got to kind of go through and figure out what things aren't working on the cluster, what things are. And I mean, the main reason for that is because I did leave some parts in a bin outside and there was a crack on it and it got rained on. So there are a lot of parts that basically took a swim with this car, and the gauge cluster is one of those. So most of the things are working on the cluster, but I guess the fuel level gauge is not working. So that did leave us stranded, but we did fill it up with a little bit of gas. So right now I do need to take this thing over to the gas station, put some more gas in it. That way we will have some more time to, you know, just play around with the tune a little bit more. And that's like another issue we're kind of having, is the tune on this thing obviously needs some work. So there are like a lot of lean spots on it, because I think this thing is getting a lot more air with those ITBs, and so it is getting way more air than usual. We've just kind of been working on it little by little, just trying to work all the RPM range out, and yeah, that's kind of what we've been working on. And as you guys just saw, I just cut this piece off of the hood, and basically the reason why I had to cut that is just so I can clear this right here, which this bracket that I mounted here, that's not originally supposed to be there. So it was kind of bumping up against this right here, and now it does actually close all the way. I went through and then I had to probe the windows to roll down, just because I don't really want to go through and have to plug up all of the door panels in the car. And yeah, we should be good to get some more test driving in. So I do need to go get some gas, just because the last time we ran out of gas and we just put a couple gallons in there. So I'm just gonna head over to the gas station, put some more gas, and yeah, get some more street tuning from there. Alright guys, and in here it's looking pretty good. I got that panel all mounted up. My proportioning valve is all good to go, mounted. It's adjustable. The kill switch is ready to go. I do have the gauges mounted. I went through and temporarily mounted this switch here. So this little rocker switch is for my radiator fan, just because I did kind of have to wire that separately. I just wired up my own relay for the fan and just wired it up to that rocker switch. So it's just temporarily mounted right there until I can mount it, and I have a little space for it right there. So that should be chill. Oh yeah, and then the shifter is fully ready to go. So this time I really am ready for a test drive. So hopefully we can get a little bit more of the base map built in this thing, so that way I can start actually driving this thing around, breaking that engine in, and get this thing ready to go hit the dyno. Alright guys, so I'm gonna head over to the gas station, get some more fuel in this thing, and I'll get back to you guys from there. Alright guys, so I'm just getting some gas in her, and yeah, honestly it's really weird to just see this car out and about like this. It's been so long since I've just gotten to drive this car around, you know. Alright guys, so really quick, on my way back from the gas station, I did get a check engine light, and basically that check engine light was just a speed sensor malfunction light or whatever, and that's just because I don't have the ground connected to the speed sensor right now, so that's currently not working. So you can see right there on the coolant temperature, it is showing 183, but while I was driving it, the gauge was reading at about 190 at all times, and whenever I would check the Hondata app, it was reading at about 180, 182, around there. And basically the reason for that is because the gauge sensor is coming out right after the head, so that is pretty much like when the water is going to be the hottest. So if you guys are ever noticing that the coolant is running way higher than it should, or way higher than normal, that's the reason why it is coming out right after the head outlet, so that's why. But yeah, I mean, other than that, everything is working correctly, everything's functioning, so that's super good. Alright guys, so here you go. Getting to drive it around a lot more. So really quick, just some first impressions with the car right off the bat, just with some of the major changes that I've done to it. So first and foremost, the brake pedal does take a lot more pressure to get the car stopped. Obviously, no brake booster, but I do want to say it is way softer, and there's way more modulation than if you were to just like unplug the brake booster. So I know a lot of people like on forums and a lot of people out there say that, oh, just unplug your brake booster and you can feel what it's like to not have a brake booster. That's not at all the case, because when you do an actual brake booster delete, you usually end up going with the master cylinder that has a bore size that is proportioned a little bit better for no brake booster. So right now it does start off a little bit soft at first, and you do have some room before it starts getting firm. And again, it does take a lot more pressure to get the car stopped than if you had a brake booster, but I really love the way it feels. And along with the adjustable prop valve, it makes a huge difference, because at first I was driving it with the bias all the way to the rear, and basically it made the brakes feel like really lazy almost, and kind of like soft, as if there's like air in the system. So it's like you press the brake pedal, then it'll take a little bit for it to react and start slowing the car down. So once I adjusted the bias over all the way to the front, it made a night and day difference, like to the point where as soon as I touch on the brake, the front brakes are already biting and it's already wanting to stop, like right then and there, you know. So that brake proportioning valve is very worth it. Now the next thing I want to talk about from there is the clutch pedal. So right now I am still getting used to this clutch pedal, because going from a stock clutch to a stage 2 exity clutch does make a difference, believe it or not. But yeah, and along with that S2000 master cylinder, the clutch literally feels like an on and off switch right now. So that is one thing I do want to get used to. And another thing, I do want to shorten the rod for the clutch, just so I can kind of like reduce the travel a little bit. So I am going to be doing that very soon. So in the near future, some things that I do need to take care of is getting a bumper on, obviously. From there, I do want to go through and get grommets all over all the holes where the wiring is, like I explained earlier. From here, the next project that I need to take care of is finishing off all of the wiring and wrapping up all the wiring inside and going along the inside of this fender. So a lot of those parts are starting to come in, and once everything does come in, I can finish that project and get that bulkhead connector wired up on the inside. And yeah, that should be super good. So there you guys go. Finally got to drive the car. I definitely do need some more bass tuning on this thing, but that's what we're going to work on next. And from here, it's just a matter of getting that bass tune to a point where it's just good to drive around, break this engine in, and we will be hitting the dyno very soon. So I am super hyped right now, guys. The car is finally driving. The clutch is working, the brakes are working, most of the wiring is working, at least all the important stuff is working, you know. So at this point, I can consider this project a success so far, but just because this thing is driving does not mean I am done. There is still a lot more work to be done on this thing for me to consider it done, but we are one huge step closer to this thing. So whew, I am super relieved right now. Huge weight off my shoulders at this point. So from here, I'm just gonna go ahead and enjoy this car, drive it around a little bit more, and hopefully right now me and my dad could get started on some more street tuning. Alright guys, so I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I know it is super short, but I really do want to get this video to you guys as soon as possible, since I did just kind of leave you guys hanging on the last video. I really thought I was going to be able to drive it for the last video, but I just kind of wanted to save more footage for actually driving this thing around, you know. So hopefully some of the footage that I got driving it around is good enough. But yeah, there you go. This thing is driving. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. If you guys are enjoying the progress, if you guys are hyped to see this thing rolling under its own power, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and make sure you guys keep an eye out for the next video. Later.